Bobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
Beach Pizza, formerly Marcy's Pizza, is back with more hours and more pizza. Beach Pizza has new owners and now open every day, 11 to 11. Pizza by the slice, whole pies, wings, pretzels, garlic knots, and more choice eats in East PCB. I finally tried a slice, and it was a thin crust, totes, cheesy slice of paradise. 8815 B Thomas Drive, online at beachpizzapcb.com. Call ahead, 850-775-4053.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose? We can typically replace them while you wait. Hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? In many cases, we can have it back to you the next day. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, just south of Tractor Supply. The best place in town to take a leak.
The Memorial Day mattress sale continues at the Sleep Center. Stop by the Sleep Center and save up to $800 on select Stearns & Foster adjustable mattress sets. Stearns & Foster, made in the USA, and available at
Sleep Center, where it's bedtime all day long.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. John. Powered by Panama City Toyota, ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the next evolution of sports talk radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, we're taking the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey.
I love it.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And good Tuesday morning. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City Beach, 101.9 in Port St. Joe. You can watch, like, listen, comment, subscribe, share, follow. We appreciate if you do that on our social channels. That is Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. To find them, all you got to do is search up ESPN Northwest Florida. Also, download our free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store. All you got to do is search up 104.3. You'll find it. If you want a T-shirt, you have to have our mobile app because we're giving away T-shirts all the time right there in our free mobile app. Again, Google Play, Apple Store, 104.3 is all you got to search up. Last but not least, head over to ESPNPC.com. You can indeed listen live there, but while you're there, sign up for Scorpion TV with code ESPNNW. That is only $45 a month for over 5,000 channels on demand. That includes all your regional sports, all your local news and sports, as well as all the pay-per-view events, all the things you got to pay for coming up in the fall. If you want to watch your team, that's all the NFL games, all the NHL games, all the NBA, Major League Baseball, all that stuff right there on Scorpion TV. And I guarantee it is less than you're paying right now, whatever streaming service you are currently using, unless you're old school and just like to use over the air, because you can get HD over the air nowadays, and it's not really that big of a deal. But Scorpion TV is where you got to sign up for the most sports news, whatever you want, Scorpion TV. And it's also got over 10,000 movies on demand. It is Tuesday. Tomorrow is the last day of school here in Bay County. Half day for the students. And then it's going to be summertime. Maybe that'll alleviate the traffic. Maybe not, because it's summertime here in Bay County. And that means the traffic is certainly rocking and rolling. It's also a little warm out there, but sweet summertime, as Kenny Chesney said. Mm-hmm. Here we are. But real quick, I think I did put a poll out there for the first time in a while. If I did it correctly, hopefully it'll show up in the live feed there. But I had a Pop-Tart for the first time in a long time. You know, Pop-Tarts really aren't very healthy for you. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to Pop-Tarts. I'm going to eat a Pop-Tart. And the kids have Pop-Tarts. So had a cherry Pop-Tart. I was just thinking to myself, do you heat it up or do you not heat it up?
Hey, you saw the commercial.
Oh, and they had the Pop-Tarts bowl this year.
There's one running right now.
Is there?
That says, do you want to heat it up or do you not want to heat it up?
Okay, perfect. That flows in right into what I was thinking about this morning. And I like to heat it up. It just gives it a little extra flavor. Some people like to put butter on their Pop-Tarts. Like,
I've never done that.
The unfrosted Pop-Tart is the one you would have to put the butter on. I got a good friend that does that. I never tried it until one time. It's not bad. It's not bad. And, of course, you can just pull them right out of the tin foil package or whatever kind of foil that is, and you can have one. I guess you'd call it raw, not heated up. So we do have a poll question there on Facebook. It should be right there on the screen. If it's not, the next break I'll make sure it's up there. And again, how do you like your Pop-Tart? Heated or not heated? The Aaron Rodgers saga continues as he has still not made a decision, but he has certainly ruled out some teams. One of the teams he has ruled out, obviously the New Orleans Saints, who are certainly looking for a quarterback now, as Derek Carr officially retired a couple weeks ago, and Jake Haener got hurt. I believe it was last week, in the 3-quarterback competition, which is just now down to 2. So he's officially ruled out that he will not be playing in New Orleans. He basically said he is too old to be in New Orleans. I can understand that, as it's a party city, no doubt about that. But he also he also ruled out, obviously, the Chicago Bears, as he would not be going to play there. Caleb Williams there, but he did offer a clue about his potential future, noting there's a team that might play in Chicago on the road this year. Randy, who has a game in Chicago this year? I'll tell you, it was a rhetorical question.
Okay.
The Pittsburgh Steelers on the road in Chicago. So He's hinting to, that's probably the team he's been likened to the most, although a decision still hasn't been made. But he did say there's a team that might play in Chicago this year on a road trip. That is indeed the Pittsburgh Steelers, as they play in Soldier Field on November 23rd. Saints obviously would probably like to make a move on that. I don't know, Saints fans would like to make a move on that. But Rodgers also hinted he'd probably retire as a Packer if Green Bay asked him in the future, because he spent so much time there in Green Bay. And you see that with certain players. I think Joe Montana went back and signed like a deal with the Niners and was just
retired.
Yeah, and then just retired and, of course, was gone. So I can certainly see Aaron Rodgers doing that. But as of now, he is still not landed on a NFL team, and the clock is ticking. Speaking of the clock ticking, I always like to start this countdown when school gets out. But I've got the countdown to both both types of football that we love to watch and talk about here in the Golf Plus studios. The first one is going to be the NFL at September 4th, 2025. We are currently under the 100-day marker. We're at 99 days, 12 hours, 54 minutes, and 10 seconds counting. And then the one that probably more people in this area are excited about, that is a countdown to college football kickoff. It is a mere 87 days, 12 hours, 53 minutes, and 56 seconds and counting. Now, that's to week 0.
Yeah.
Still starting college football, but I know obviously the big week everybody's looking forward to is week 1, as there's some huge matchups coming up there in week 1. If you watched a lot of the softball, drinking from the fire hose in softball, as I've been saying all week, it's been narrowed down to just the 8 teams left that will be playing in the College World Series out there in Oklahoma City. We were picking these regionals. We were kind of going through them all. And now we have winners from all those super regionals and the teams that advanced. Oregon came out of the Eugene Super Regional as they took on the Liberty Flames, as Liberty, as we know, upset Texas A&M, the first number 1 seed to go down, I think, since 2006 or something along those lines. But the number 16 Oregon, although they normally would have had to play the number 1 seed, kind of got a little lucky and had to take on the Liberty Flames, and they beat them in the Super Regional 2-0. First game was a little challenging. They won that one 3-2. Second game, Oregon got out in front and never looked back, won that one 13-1. So the Oregon Ducks, the number 16 overall national seed, advanced to the College World Series, and they will be in bracket number 2. Over there on the other side, the Florida Gators took on the Georgia Bulldogs in the world's largest cocktail party of softball super regionals, and it did have to go to 3 games. Florida won the first game 6-1. Georgia came back in a pitcher's duel and won that one 2-1, and then Florida secured the super regional with a 5-2 victory back on Sunday. So Florida advances, not surprising in that one. Georgia obviously came out of the Durham regional, eliminating the number 14 overall national seed Duke Blue Devils. So Florida will be in bracket 1. Bouncing back onto the other side, you had what was arguably the closest matchup, at least according to rankings. That was the South Carolina Gamecocks and the UCLA Bruins. Series was certainly interesting. South Carolina got out to a hot start, won the first game 9-2, but then UCLA came back in a barn burner, won that one 5-4, which forced that third and final game, and UCLA just got out to a lead and kind of never looked back as they beat the Gamecocks 5-0 to advance to the Women's College World Series and be a part of bracket number 2. Staying on that side, unfortunately, our Florida State Seminoles, big local fan team here, just ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw with that pitcher from Texas Tech. Florida State could not get a run on the board in the first game as they lost that one 3-1, and then a close, heartfelt matchup in game number 2. They lost that one 2-1. So Florida State, unfortunately, is now out of the postseason in women's softball. So Texas Tech will also be in bracket number 2. And then you also had Arkansas and Ole Miss, two not national, or Arkansas was the number 4 national seed. Ole Miss was not a national seed and gave Arkansas everything that they could. They won the first game in that series 9-7, followed up with a 4-0 loss to Arkansas. And then last but not least, in that third game, they forced it, but just could not, or Arkansas could not defeat Ole Miss. And Ole Miss is kind of having a special run right now in the postseason for women's softball. They won that third and final game 7-4. I know Coach Haddad probably hates the fact that Ole Miss has now advanced to the Women's College World Series, as he's a big Mississippi State fan. He'll be joining us on Thursday. So Ole Miss completes bracket number 2 in the College World Series. Each bracket will play a double elimination with the top 2 teams coming out of each one of those brackets. They'll play a best-of-3 series in that national championship series. Getting to the other teams that are going to bracket number 1, second series you had was over there in Austin, Texas, as the number 11 national seed Clemson Tigers took on Texas, number 6 national seed. Clemson started hot, won the first game 7-4. Texas came back, won the second game 7-5, and then Texas won a close. The game 3s and the super regionals, the ones that had game 3s, were fantastic, super close, a lot of action, just so much fun. Very much looking forward to the Women's College World Series as well. But Texas defeated Clemson 6-5 in that third and final game to advance to the bracket, the number 1 bracket up there in the Women's College World Series. Then you had Tennessee and Nebraska. Nebraska kind of surprised there in the Super Regional as they took down LSU to advance out of the Baton Rouge Regional. That was another 3-game series, and it kind of followed suit. So Nebraska won the first game 5-2, but then Tennessee came back and won the second game 3-2, and then another pitcher's duel. So fun to watch them pitch out there. But Tennessee won the third and final game 1-0 to move on to the College World Series. Last but not least, the Oklahoma Sooners took down the Alabama Crimson Tide. Knew it was going to be a tough one. Oklahoma's been a powerhouse for a long, long time, and I believe it was Alabama that ended their huge winning streak earlier this season. But nonetheless, Oklahoma won the first game 3-0, and then a no-doubter in the second game. Oklahoma won that 13-2. No third game necessary in that one. Oklahoma moves on to the College World Series. So again, recapping, bracket 1, you got Oklahoma, Florida, Texas, and Tennessee. Bracket 2, you got UCLA, Texas Tech, Oregon, and Ole Miss. Only one non-national seed in the College World Series. You could say Oregon, being the 16th national seed's kind of on that bubble as well. But Ole Miss, the only team in the College World Series that is not a national seed. That get underway on the 29th, coming up here in a couple days. It'll start with Florida and Texas, and then Tennessee and Oklahoma. They'll play all the way through until they have the final 2 teams. That the official championship series will start on June 4th, 5th, and then if necessary, the 6th as well. So we'll have a national champion in college softball here by the end of, I guess that's the end of next week, because the 6th is Friday, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Yeah, absolutely. It's heating up and kind of getting down to the nitty-gritty there in the Women's Division I Softball College World Series. Randy.
Yes.
I'm going to quiz you here a little bit.
All right, go ahead.
So I've got a map of the most hated team in every state and province. You give me a state, and then or you want me to give you a state and then you see who it is? Florida. Who's the and it's college or professional, any sport.
Okay. So Florida.
Who's the most hated team in the state of Florida?
Miami Hurricanes. Football.
Close, but they're in Florida. So who's the most hated team for Floridians or people in Florida?
Oh, people in Florida.
Outside of Florida, yeah.
Oh, God. Alabama?
No, but not a bad guess. Not a bad guess. They played against each other in the softball.
Oh, God.
Think of that big game in Jacksonville.
Oh, you're talking about Georgia?
Yes, the most hated team for Floridians is indeed Georgia.
That's bizarre.
It's probably their biggest rival, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, FSU, Miami, too, but it's not, it's not been quite as much as it is.
Yeah.
Throw out a state. There's a few of them here.
Oklahoma.
Okay, Oklahoma. Let's see. Who do you think? A lot of these play directly into rivalries, whether it's pros or college. Yeah, that's a big hint. Big hint.
So, in Oklahoma,
biggest rival.
It would be, Texas.
Yes,
the Longhorns.
The Texas Longhorns. I didn't mean to put you on the spot with this.
That's okay.
It's not as fun if I just say who the most hated team is in there, each one. All right, let's see. How about Tennessee? What's their most hated college or pro team?
Oh, it's got to be Alabama.
It is. Yes, Alabama, the most hated team for Tennessee. What about Alabama? What's their most hated team? And it's not Auburn because it's in state. It's got to be out of state.
Oh, out of state.
Yep.
Is it Tennessee?
It's not. But Tennessee is hated by the state of Kentucky.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the number one most hated team. This is a fun one.
So who is it in the state of Alabama?
LSU. LSU is Arkansas, Mississippi, and Alabama. So they've got a 3 spot there. There's a couple other 3 spots
as well. A lot of hate for the Tigers.
A lot of hate out of those 3 states for the Tigers.
Yep.
And then you get up there into the Northeast. The Dallas Cowboys probably lead this map with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, Washington, D.C., Virginia, as well as, I think I saw another one somewhere. So they got 5 on this map that are most hated. And then if you just go up to the very northeast, you got Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and what's that other one there? No, that's all part of Massachusetts. It's just got the little piece of Rhode Island. It doesn't label the states. I'm having to remember my geometry. Those are all New York Yankee hatred there. What's kind of on the flip side of that? What's New York's most hated team?
Well, it's, same thing, right?
Yeah, Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
Yep, New York hates them, and everybody else hates New York. But that's, what kind of goes pretty fun. All right, Michigan. Outside of the pro world, back into the college world. And then I just gave it away. Ohio hates this. Their most hated one, too, is kind of parallels with this.
So it's Ohio State.
Yep. Ohio State is the most hated team by the state of Michigan, and vice versa. Michigan is the most hated team from the state of Ohio.
What about, like, Wisconsin?
Wisconsin is, who would you think? I'll give you a hint, professional.
Oh, it's got to be Chicago.
Yes, the Bears, absolutely. And then on the flip side of that, actually, I was kind of surprised in this one. What do you think the state of Illinois hates the most?
Wow. Pro?
Yes, it is pro. It is pro.
That's what I thought.
But it's not football.
Is it? Oh, it's not football.
Not football.
Yeah, you got me on that one.
Baseball, give you a hint. Major League Baseball. St. Louis Cardinals.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then in Missouri, the Chicago Cubs are the most hated team. And then it looks like Iowa has Wisconsin as the most hated team. And then you got North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota all hate. Who does Minnesota hate? Same division in professional football.
Oh, God.
Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre.
Green Bay.
So they got a trifecta. They got the Dakotas and Minnesota hating them.
You would think it'd be like a close state.
Well, they're all right there, kind of next.
Well,
obviously the Dakotas are separated by Minneapolis, or Minnesota. Apparently, Minnesota bleeds right into the Dakotas.
Yeah.
Nebraska, they hate Oklahoma the most, and then Montana hates looks like that's the Idaho Vandals. The Idaho Vandals. So Montana hates them the most. That's probably the biggest rivalry in sports between those two. But Idaho does not hate the Montana Grizz or the Montana State. I forget what they're at. They hate the Gonzaga Bulldogs. That's Idaho's biggest one.
Wow.
Oregon hates Washington University the most, which, kind of makes sense. And then Washington University hates this professional team, as does Alaska. man, the Alaskan people up there really hate the San Francisco 49ers.
Why are they going to hate on the Niners?
I don't know. I understand why Washington does with that big Seattle Seahawks and Niners rivalry there. But Nevada, this is I don't understand the correlation. Maybe you do. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, the most hated team there by the state of Nevada. California, I never would have guessed this one because it's not necessarily a rivalry anymore, but one of the biggest rivalries in basketball, kind of in that 70s, 80s, kind of went down a little bit in the 90s, but California hates the Boston Celtics the most.
Really?
Probably that giant population of Los Angeles, and everybody probably hates the Celtics in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Arizona hates the Seattle Seahawks the most. New Mexico and Texas hate the Philadelphia Eagles the most. I think I've come all the way back around to Louisiana. Oh, no, there's two more. I missed Colorado and, what's that? It's not Nebraska. Colorado and Utah hates the Lakers the most. Colorado hates the Raiders the most. I wonder why that is. I guess, because of Denver and the Raiders. And then, what's that state right there? It stumped me. I almost got all 50. Louisiana it hates the Atlanta Falcons the most. So that's Louisiana.
That's because of New Orleans.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The Saints and the Falcons.
Yeah. I'm just surprised it's not, maybe Georgia or, Alabama, but interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I got to figure out this last one. All right.
What do you do, pull up a map?
Yeah,
and look?
And I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed that I have to even pull up this map, but...
And you're going to look at it and go, oh, my God.
Kansas. Kansas hates the Raiders the most, Kansas City Chiefs. So it kind of makes sense, but that's kind of fun. I came across that. There's a Facebook page called Brilliant Maps. It's got maps of all sorts of stuff, and that one came across my feed the other day, and I was like, that's perfect to find out where all these most hatred lives. I'm sure you could break it down between college and...
the pros.
Heated with a glass of milk. It's a good way to eat a Pop-Tart, that's for sure. I can't do the milk thing. It just doesn't agree with me, so I've never been really able to dive into milk.
No matter what kind. Almond, coconut, none of it.
Yeah, all that stuff just does not sit with me well. But we got to take a quick break. When we get back, it'll be time to dive in with Doc A, a.k.a. Steve Alexander. You listen to The Inside Drive. We'll be right back.
Weather in the Panhandle never stops. Turn to 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast.
Up to the minute weather reports all day long.
A chance of thunderstorms and moderate rain.
In-depth storm coverage.
Winter Storm Enzo.
And breaking weather as it happens.
Hurricane Helene.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
We do have a tropical storm warning.
Rely on it.
Good morning. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Tuesday. Partly sunny this afternoon and evening with a moderate breeze at 13 miles per hour out of the south-southwest and temps near 86. Tonight we will have mostly clear skies and be warm at 78. Partly sunny and a likelihood of thunderstorms tomorrow and a high 86. Some clouds in the early morning, but otherwise likely thunderstorms Thursday with a temp of 84. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
When you bring your vehicle to Panama City Toyota for repairs or maintenance, you'll get the warmest welcome around.
That's because we see service differently.
It's not only an expert team that can help with everything, from simple adjustments to a new set of tires. It's also a team that values your time, so we make your experience as quick and comfortable as possible. Because we're committed to service that goes beyond. Only at Panama City Toyota.
Tired of boring merch and want your brand to stand out like the big names? Elevate your look with Red 7 Tees. They don't just print shirts, they create bold identities. They are a veteran-owned custom apparel shop providing the kind of detail that turns heads, using high-quality digital printing and embroidery to give you that unique style you love with no minimums or cookie-cutter designs. From small business to sports teams, if you've got a vision, they'll help you wear it proudly. Visit red7tees.com.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Gulf Plus studios.
We're starting fresh.
Fresh new start.
Locally sourced, Farm to Radio. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is live and local on ESPN Northwest Florida. And now,
Talk to my eyes.
Doc K joins the Inside Drive. It's just what the doctor ordered.
Oh, doctor! Talk to your doctor before use.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Conference championships are heating up, and we got the perfect guy on the line to do that. But, Doc, I'm going to start. We put a poll question out there today. I happen to have a Pop-Tart this morning. I hadn't had a Pop-Tart in a long time. I know they're terrible for you, but sometimes you just want to have a Pop-Tart. So I ate it. It's a cherry frosted Pop-Tart for the context. Question to you. How do you eat your Pop-Tart? Heated? Not heated? Do you put butter on it? Do you have milk with it? What's your preferred, if you eat Pop-Tarts? If you don't, then it's a simple question. But what's your preferred method of Pop-Tart consumption?
I probably haven't had a Pop-Tart in 10 years. But if I were going to eat a Pop-Tart, it would be some sort of strawberry filling, white icing on top, and just pop it straight in the toaster.
Yep.
No butter, nothing fancy. We do it like we did it in the 70s.
That's right.
You just throw it in the toaster and eat it.
That's it. But it can't be a snack. You know, if you just want to pull it out of that ridiculously thin foil or whatever it's wrapped in there. But yeah, and I think you wanted to kind of dive into a fun little story as well.
No, we'll see. We'll see if it's fun or not.
Oh, it's going to be. It's here on the Inside Drive.
My buddy John and I went into a little. Our wives were hanging out on the square shopping, and family was in town for my son's graduation. John and I kind of escaped and got into this little wine bar area. And I've never been in there before, but we're sitting there, and John kind of knew the girl that was helping us. And there was a little sign, a little handwritten sign on the bar. It had said something about jalapeno cucumber drink or something, and it was beautifully written. No one would ever let me write a sign like that because it would look like a second grader did it, and you wouldn't be able to read it. But one thing I can do is spell.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this sign, and I was like, "Man, jalapeno is not spelled correctly. Do I pull a Larry David and tell this girl, or do I just let it go?" And of course, I couldn't just let it go. So I was like, hey, I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, but I think jalapeno might be misspelled on your sign. And this girl goes from a North Georgia accent into full-blown some other accent. She goes, yeah. She goes, listen, I'm from San Antonio. And in San Antonio, you said, "Hey, bail." And I was like, okay. She's like, it's an E. It has an E in the middle of it, not an A. And I was like, okay. I don't really agree with you. But
she was confident.
She said, oh, my God, dude. She, turned into another person. She's like, I am from San Antonio. And the way she said, "Bail," was so funny. And my buddy and I were just like he knew it was wrong, too. And so we didn't say anything else. And about 5 minutes later, she gets her phone out and she looks it up and she goes, guess you guys are right.
Ooh, she owned up to it.
She said we were right, but she didn't say, oh, sorry about that. I guess you guys were right. And she didn't fix the sign, but she did at least look it up. And I'm sure she felt a little whatever for the way she exploded on me with her sudden Mexican accent.
Yeah, she pulled that out of nowhere, huh? She's
from San Antonio, so obviously she knows how to spell.
Yeah, clearly, or maybe not know how to spell. That made me think of something, Doc, that when you were talking about that. So I was at a track meet this spring, this year, so that limits it really down to two places that it could have been. But they had boiled peanuts and Cajun boiled peanuts. Cajun, typically spelled K-A-J-U-N. It was spelled C-A-G-E-N. Did I correct them? No, because they ran out of the Cajun boiled peanuts. But yeah,
so Cajun, like a cage match.
Yes, it was a past tense of Cajun. Cajun.
We're going Cajun.
Yeah. I'm sure they were good because they sold out. But that's it's one of those things. I feel like over the last decade or so, the ability to spell is just kind of going downhill because you have all this autocorrect nowadays. Even on our text messages, sometimes when we don't want it to autocorrect, it's not duck, it's the other word. But yeah, so interesting story, and I just like the confidence of the San Antonio chick. Of that's the one thing. If you spell it wrong, that's one thing. But then to defend it so hard, at least she recognized, after doing a quick Google search. But yeah, we are diving in. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. Let's go.
I was just going to say, let's dive into it as things are heating up with a big game coming up tonight. What are your thoughts on the Knicks-Pacers series thus far? Just seems like the road team and comebacks is certainly the story thus far.
I feel like we've been saying all along, all the pressure is on the Pacers.
Yeah.
In this series because the Knicks are supposed to win. But you win both games in New York, and then you come home, and let's say that New York wins tonight. Well, then I think the pressure's back on the Pacers because you just blew a golden opportunity to go to the finals.
Yeah.
So I think the pressure is on the Pacers tonight. I feel like they're going to live up to it. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is such a pressure player, and I feel like Indy is going to get it done tonight. It's a 2.5-point spread from what I'm seeing at ESPN. Indy minus 2.5. I'll take it. Now, last night the spread on the Oklahoma City game was 3. And I had Oklahoma City minus 3, and they won by 2, so that was a loser.
How do they always get so darn close with that stuff? It's unbelievable how close they get on these lines. I guess, they got the algorithms and all the data and all that stuff to pop out the numbers so darn close. So Pacers 2.5-point favorite tonight. I like what you said there. They obviously have the pressure on them now because you don't want to blow a 2-0 series lead. But at the same time, I know we'll get to it here in a second. You picked the Knicks to win in 7. So the Knicks, I believe, are 6-1 on the road so far in these playoffs. And, they go get another win tonight in Indiana. It's a whole nother ballgame. All of a sudden becomes a best-of-3 series. And the Knicks have 2 road games if it does come down to that best-of-3 series. Or the Pacers can get it done and take the 3-1 lead back to New York, where they've been very successful. I think the crazy shot by Halliburton had happened after we had talked last Tuesday. I'm pretty sure because I think we had a game that night. Had you ever seen, I know MJ, a lot of those guys have made the crazy shots, but the dramatic fashion that went in with it going out of the camera sight and then back through the cylinder. Can you remember another game where it just was the magnitude of that, especially with the comeback that they had?
Well, I was at the Reggie Miller push-off on Jordan fadeaway 3 to put the Pacers up and win that game against the Bulls in the 96 Eastern Conference. I think it was the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
And that's the loudest arena I've ever heard. It's the loudest explosion I've ever heard. It's the most miraculous thing I've ever seen, probably in person. But the way that Halliburton shot hit the back of the rim and went straight up in the air and came straight back down. And then, we thought it was a 3-pointer.
Yep.
So we were really going crazy. And then they changed it to a 2. Well, that was still good enough for overtime and the win. And he did the choke sign.
Yep.
And
which at the time I was all for because the similarities to what happened there. And then, of course, he didn't know it was a 2, so no fault to him. But hopefully that doesn't come back to a bite.
Luckily they won. But
yeah, no doubt.
The short answer to your question is no. I have not seen such a ridiculous. Kawhi Leonard shot to win it for Toronto a few years ago. Kind of bounced around before it went in, but it was nothing like that.
Yeah, just even the ball was dramatic in that situation. And what you were talking about there with Reggie Miller was home, the crowd goes nuts. And on the polar opposite of that place went dead silent. You can hear people talking over the television broadcast. That was some wild stuff. And like you said, luckily they went on to win.
You know what that shot reminded me of more than anything was the Tiger Woods shot on 16 at the Masters.
And it stops on the lip for a second.
Drama.
Yeah.
and the hesitation and the finally falls in and like everything about that was like very similar, I think, to that shot.
Well, and that's just not what happens very often, just throughout the course of a game, for you to hit directly on the back of the rim and for it to pop straight up and then go through. But also the guile or whatever adjective you want to use for him to, he could have drove it and just tied the game up, but instead he dribbles out for a game-winning three, just doesn't go quite far enough. But the guts to do that versus just take the tie, I mean, that's some killer mentality there, in my opinion. That's some dagger-ish action.
Yeah, and you said that doesn't happen very many times in a game. It doesn't happen very many times in a season.
Yeah,
that's true. Ball hits the back of the rim and does that. Like, hey, that was a one of a kind shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Flipping to the other series, Oklahoma City, they can win big, they can win close. Do you think that game last night, that was tough to close out? He hit I forget who hit the huge three there kind of at the end to put them up by 7 and then kind of let them get to where they needed to get to. Do you think that game, the way that it transpired there, is more beneficial for OKC the rest of the way, or do you think it probably doesn't matter?
It's 3-1 now.
Yeah.
OKC's up 3-1, so I don't think it probably matters. Like, they just need to win one more game. But I think in the grand scheme of things, I think gutting out a tough, close win is always somewhat helpful. I mean, I think you learn more about yourself from that than you do a 30-point blowout. So
yeah.
It was probably helpful to them. I think it was Jalen Williams, my guy.
Yes, Jalen Williams.
Big three you're talking about.
Yep.
And he had a huge game. I think he scored 31. Shea had 40.
And then Chet, I think, had 21.
And it's funny. My little nephews were in town for Soren's graduation, and Soren, my son, is always like, I don't like Shea. He's a foul baiter. And these kids got in town, and I started talking to them, and they're like, oh, we don't like Shea. He's a foul baiter. And the whole internet thing is that Shea is a foul baiter.
Yep.
But and everybody, that's what everybody has picked up on. That's what everybody talks about. But he doesn't shoot any more free throws than any of these other superstars ever did, like Dwayne Wade even.
Yeah.
And I think his rank for number of free throws shot in the playoffs is like, it's pretty far down the list when you look at all time. So it's just funny that the narrative has been sold to everyone that he's not a very good basketball player. He's just good at drawing fouls.
All it takes is one person to post it, and then it gets shared, and then everybody can't have an opinion on their own in this day and age. So, they just all buy it, believe it, and go with that. So, interesting stuff. OKC, a heavy title favorite, despite not knowing who they're going to potentially play if they can close out the series. They're minus 400 to win the NBA championship. Who do you think would give them a tougher series, the Knicks or the Pacers?
This is dumb, but I'm going to say whoever ends up winning that series, because I don't know, man.
Yeah, such a close series.
I think Oklahoma City probably matches up a little better against the Knicks because I feel like if they have these two big guys in Hartenstein and Holmgren, they can just focus on stopping Karl Anthony Towns from doing stuff, and you can put Lou Dort on Jalen Brunson. Then that leaves Josh Hart and the other guys to try to beat you. And if it's the Pacers, the Pacers just seem like a team of destiny to me right now. Like I picked the Knicks to get to the finals at the beginning of the season. I'm actually rooting for the Pacers in this series, so I feel like either way, whoever wins, I can't really lose. But I feel like Indiana has this destiny thing going on. And I would not, if I was Oklahoma City, I would not want to play a team that people are calling the team of destiny.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you think whoever wins the game tonight will go on to win the Eastern Conference Finals?
Yes. I think tonight is the big night.
Yeah.
And the winner of tonight's game, New York at Indiana. I think the winner of that game probably wins the series.
Makes sense. Any changes to your original predictions? I mean, you're pretty much right in line kind of with both of them. Last week you picked the Knicks in 7. They could be tied 2-2 tonight, or, the Pacers could go up 3-1 and then they could come storming back. But you've got the Thunder in 5, which is looking fairly likely now with a 3-1 series lead. Would you change any of those predictions at all at this point?
No, and I kind of look at it, if you're playing competitive golf or competitive Golden Tee and somebody messes up a shot, especially Golden Tee, my buddy's like, hey, man, just take a mulligan. And I'm like, that's not how it works, man. You got to stick with what you're doing. Like, you can't change in the middle of your deal. So, I picked the Knicks, and now if the Knicks were up 3-0 or the Pacers were up 3-0, I'd be like, well, yeah, I'll change it now, but it still doesn't discount the fact of what my original pick was.
Yeah.
So I'm sticking with both of them. I think if I was redoing the whole thing a year ago, when I made these picks before the season started, probably like August or September.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I was doing it again then, I think I would have taken the Pacers over the Knicks. But that's knowing what I know now. Knowing what I knew then, it was the Knicks for me.
Either way, I think it's been a very exciting conference finals in both thus far. I mean, you don't have the big blue bloods, for lack of a better term, in there. And you've got, obviously the Knicks are in a huge market, but just a lot of fun so far. And I think tonight's game is going to be a blast. And like you said, whoever wins this game tonight may go on to win the series. It's either going to be tied 2-2 or the Pacers are going to be up 3-1. You said you would take the Pacers minus 2.5 in this one?
Yep.
And what about the over-under at 221? This series has kind of been wild with the total points in it.
I think I'd go over.
Okay.
But I don't bet over.
I know, yeah, that's right. All right, let's look at some player props real quick before we got to let you go. Jalen Brunson at 29.5. That seems like it's gone down because the last game they played, he just didn't score as many points. They did good on defense on him, but it opened it up for other guys. Karl-Anthony Towns is 21.5. Halliburton and Siakam both 20.5. What do you like in those?
Interesting. I've kind of been laying off the props lately. I've kind of moved on to other stuff. But if the Knicks are going to win, Brunson's going to have to score 30. I think I like Brunson over.
Yeah.
And what was Karl-Anthony Towns?
21.5.
And what was Halliburton?
20.5. So was Siakam.
Yeah, I like Halliburton. Halliburton and Brunson, the 2-point guards.
Gotcha. And if their teams are going to win tonight, they're going to have big games, and that kind of plays right into that over-under. Doc, we have ran out of time. I appreciate you jumping on, as you always do. I'll text you after the fact because I'll be gone the next 3 Tuesdays over in Jacksonville getting some treatment. So if you want to still come on, I'm sure whoever's filling in for me would love to have you on there, especially as we approach the NBA Finals.
All right, man. We'll be in touch.
Sounds great. That's Steve Alexander, a.k.a. Doc A. You can follow him on Twitter /X Doctora, DOCKTORA. Him and Rick Kamala doing a podcast every day. You're listening to The Inside Drive. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the Coach James Hale Show.
Losing to Michigan, you're on the hot seat.
Did you see his face after that loss? I thought he was going to drop dead of a heart attack.
Yeah,
I thought
his
he was
face was
going to
red.
die.
There was some demon that took over his body and made the words come out. Demons come out. Your quarterback said that.
On national TV.
On national TV.
Weekday morning 7 to 9. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Everyone in the area knows that when it comes to portable buildings, Bestway Portable Buildings is the best in portable, period. And now they offer screen enclosures too to help keep those vicious yellow flies, mosquitoes, and no-see-ums away. Need a pole barn? Bestway can do the job. See Bestway Portable Buildings just north of the old mall on Highway 231. Online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. Bestway Portable Buildings, the best in portable, period. And a golden age business.
Get ready for your next adventure and discover Kia at Bill Bird Kia today. Check out the 2025 SUV family. The road is yours. Take a test drive and see the all-new features that elevate any adventure. Now offering 1.9% APR up to 60 months on the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sportage or a 2025 Kia Sorento. You'll get the perfect balance of comfort, safety, and technology. We'll treat you like family and give you the peace of mind that you can trust. Bill Bird Kia is the home of that 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us at 2435 East 15th Street or anytime at BillBirdKiaPanamaCity.com. See us today.
Offer from Kia Finance America for the purchase of a new 2025 Kia Sportage and a 2025 Sorento with $1,748 per month per 1,000 financed in 60 months. Quantities limited. Cannot be combined with other finance offers not available on balloon financing. The 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty is a Bill Bird Kia warranty. See dealer for complete details. Offer for well-qualified buyers must take delivery from dealer stock through 6/2/25.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus Studios, it's the Inside Drive. For the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley.
This man is destroying golf. You may be right, but our ratings are up and we're attracting new youthful sponsors.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Your home for the Atlanta Braves right here on the Gulf Coast. Acuna's back, and he's made an impact thus far, even though they're now 2 games below 500. But we've got the coverage coming up for you, as we always do. We appreciate Bill Bird Kia, PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Hewitt Tire and Auto, and Hometown Towing, as well as Best Way Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, and Brock Pest Control. Without those wonderful sponsors, we would not be able to bring you Atlanta Braves baseball. But we have them, so we can. Make sure you listen to us on 104.3 right here in Panama City Beach, and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. And also, don't forget, if you like to win T-shirts, you got to download that free mobile app. If you don't download it, you're not going to win T-shirts, and you're not going to be able to take the Braves wherever you go. You can find that in the Google Play or Apple Store. All you got to do is search 104.3. College softball is moving on to the World Series, and now we are moving on to the regionals in the NCAA men's baseball tournament. First, real quick, just going over these are the automatic bids because they won their conference championship. America East was won by Binghamton, the AAC, East Carolina, the ASUN, Stetson, the A10, Rhode Island. AAC was won by North Carolina in a dominant performance. Big 12, kind of weird saying this, won by Arizona. And then the Big East was won by Creighton. Big South, USC Upstate. Big 10, Nebraska. The Big West, Cal Poly. My dad was a little disappointed. The USC Santa Barbara did not win that conference tournament. The CAA, that's the Colonial Athletic Association, was won by Northeastern up there in Boston. Conference USA was won by Western Kentucky. The Horizon League was won by Wright State. I know Wright State Chris was excited about that. The Ivy League was won by Columbia. The MAAC was won by Fairfield. The MAC Conference, Miami of Ohio. The Missouri Valley Conference, Murray State. Mountain West, Fresno State Bulldogs. The NEC, won by Central Connecticut. The Ohio Valley Conference, won by Little Rock. The Patriot League, won by Holy Cross. The SEC, won by the Vanderbilt Commodores. The Southland Conference, Houston Christian. The Southern Conference, East Tennessee State. The SWAC was won by Bethune-Cookman. The Summit Conference, North Dakota State. The Sun Belt Conference, won by Coastal Carolina University. Not only the regular season conference champions, but also the tournament champions as they defeated Southern Miss 7-5. Watch, that was a great fun game to watch. Coastal Carolina's pitching staff is pretty darn impressive. The WCC was won by St. Mary's, and last but not least, the WAC, the WAC, was won by Utah Valley. Every one of those teams ended up getting a bid into the NCAA regionals. Very similar to college basketball with these teams, and just going through that real quick before we dive into this bracket. Your national top 16 teams: the SEC champion Vanderbilt Commodores, followed by the Texas Longhorns, Arkansas Razorbacks, and the Auburn Tigers. Top 4 teams, all from the SEC. You also had the North Carolina, the ACC tournament champions, at number 5, LSU at number 6, Georgia Bulldogs at 7, Oregon State Beavers at number 8, your Florida State Seminoles at number 9, Ole Miss number 10. That puts 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 SEC teams in your top 10, followed by Clemson, Oregon, Coastal Carolina, Tennessee, UCLA, and Southern Miss. Great season by Southern Miss and Coastal Carolina, and I know Troy from the Sun Belt is also in the regionals. We're going to dive through them real quick as they all get underway this Friday coming up. Looking forward to some awesome baseball action. It's hard to believe it's here. It means June's right around the corner, which indeed it is. We got about 4 days left here in the month of May, and then all of a sudden, hurricane season is here. So make sure you're keeping precautions and preparing. You can never prepare too much when it comes to being ready for the hurricane season.
But I would be willing to bet you right now that Bay County and the surrounding areas are more prepared now than they were 6 years ago.
That's what, when you have those mega events, that usually makes you a little bit more prepared in the future. We'll start with the Nashville Regional, the number 1 overall seed, Vanderbilt Commodores. They also have Wright State, Louisville, and East Tennessee State. Randy, any chance your Cardinals can come out of that Nashville Regional against the top-seeded Vanderbilt Commodores?
Listen, if anybody can, Louisville can. So we got that. By the way, I want to comment earlier about your we know who the starting quarterback at the Saints is going to be. It's Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, from
Louisville.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think Spencer Rattler is not. He had a little bit of play last year, but he just did not look that great. And then obviously Jake Haener played a little bit more than Spencer Rattler did. But now Jake Haener is at least out for the OTAs, so that quarterback competition will come back in. I agree with you. I think he's going to end up getting the starting gig, and hopefully the drafts and the offseason moves for the Saints and the new coaching staff will help Tyler out, and he'll be able to play some good football in a division that's very, very winnable.
Yeah.
That NFC South. But yeah, Tyler Shuck right there from the Louisville Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the Hattiesburg Regional, exciting there for Southern Miss. They're the 16 national seed in this one. It features Columbia University, the Alabama Crimson Tide, and the Miami Hurricanes. I don't know how Coach Hale's going to choose a winner out of this one. He's got Southern Miss, his alma mater, and then Alabama, his school that he's been talking about for as long as I've known him. So tough decisions there.
A cup of coffee says he goes with Alabama.
Nah, that's probably fair. I mean,
how often do you hear Southern Miss mentioned on his program?
Very, very little. Usually when he has somebody from Southern Miss, either that's called or he's talked to recently. If you want to go watch some great baseball, you can just head down the road over there to Tallahassee as the number 9 national seed Florida State Seminoles have Bethune-Cookman, Northeastern, and Mississippi State. I think that'll end up being Florida State, Mississippi State in that one. I think the Hattiesburg Regional will end up being Southern Miss, and man, that's tough between Alabama and Miami. Columbia, great program right now, but I just don't think they have the pitching and the firepower to compete with Southern Miss or Alabama or Miami. And I agree with you, Randy. I think Louisville and Vanderbilt will be the 2 teams going down to the end in that particular regional.
Yep.
And then all the way in the northwest part of the United States of America, up there in Corvallis, the Oregon State Beavers, the number 8 national seed, have St. Mary, TCU, and USC. That's Southern Cal USC, not the South Carolina Gamecocks, as that's an ongoing debate who the real USC is. We'll certainly find out how it all goes. I think that ends up being Oregon State and TCU, with one of those moving on to the Super Regionals. Up there in North Carolina, the Chapel Hill Regional, just outside of Raleigh-Durham, also features Holy Cross, Oklahoma, and Nebraska. I think that ends up being UNC and Nebraska in that one. Then you've got another regional in the great state of Oregon. You've got the Eugene Regional, hosted by Oregon. It's also got Utah Valley, Arizona, and Cal Poly. Likely to be Arizona and Oregon, but hey, Cal Poly's they've been there before, and they play some great baseball. And then you've got the Conway Regional, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, the number 13 overall national seed. They've got Fairfield, Florida, and East Carolina. Florida's kind of been in and out of that top 25 most of the year, but still a great program. East Carolina has also been very, very good. The Coastal always seems to go up against East Carolina in either a regional or a super regional, but I got Coastal and Florida being in the final game of this particular series, and I think Coastal's pitching staff is what's going to bring them potentially to Omaha again this year. Starting to shape up again like 2016 2016, which was obviously when the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers won the College World Series and the National Championship. We're going to be talking at 12:20 with Brad Law. He's the Director of Broadcast Operations for the Auburn Sports Network, but the Auburn Tigers ended up being the fourth overall national seed. They've got Central Connecticut, Stetson, and NC State in their regional. NC State, usually a pretty good baseball team year in and year out. Hopefully Auburn can come out of that, as if they come out of their regional, they will be hosting a super regional up there on the plains. On the other side of the 64-team bracket, you've got the Austin Regional, which features the number 2 national seed Texas Longhorns, who have Houston Baptist, I think that's what it is. It says HUBAP. Let me look on here. I've got this. Yeah, Houston Christian, excuse me. But that says HUBAP, Houston Baptist. Kansas State and the University of Texas, San Antonio. So the Roadrunners don't have to make too far of a trip, just headed up north just a little bit. I think Texas Longhorns and K-State maybe in the last game in this particular regional. And you've got the Los Angeles Regional, which features the 15th overall national seed UCLA Bruins. They've got Fresno State, UC Irvine, and Arizona State. A lot of localized teams there. UCLA's down there in the south part of California. Fresno State's kind of in the north part. I don't know where Irvine, California is. And, of course, Arizona State is in Tempe, Arizona. I think UCLA and Arizona State will be in the finals of that one. Then you've got the Oxford Regional, number 10 overall seed, Ole Miss, fresh off their great play there in the SEC Championship. They've got Murray State, Georgia Tech, and Western Kentucky. I think Georgia Tech and Ole Miss likely to be playing in that final game in the series, whether it's an if necessary game or just the final game of the series. And you've got the Athens Regional, the Georgia Bulldogs, the 7th overall seed. They've got Binghamton, Duke, and Oklahoma State. Kind of a tough one there with Duke and Oklahoma State in that regional. Georgia Bulldogs looking to advance out of that. Probably like Duke and Georgia in the final game in that regional. Then you've got the LSU Regional, the number 6 overall national seed. They've got Little Rock, Rhode Island, and DBU. That's Dallas Baptist University, who made some waves last year in the, I think they made it all the way to the College World Series. Don't quote me on that, as I always say, but they're looking poised again to try to take on the LSU Tigers, who their softball team could not come out of their regional. Maybe their baseball team can. Then you've got another regional up there in just close to Anderson, South Carolina, Clemson, South Carolina. They'll be hosting that regional. They're the number 11 national seed. USC Upstate, which is just down the road in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Easy, quick trip for them. And you've got West Virginia and Kentucky in that one. We'll see who comes out of that regional. Most likely Clemson, but hey, you never know. That's why you play the game. You get a hot pitcher at the right time, and that's usually pitching staff at this point in the college baseball season takes you all the way to the College World Series. 2 more regionals to go through. One of those is the Knoxville Regional, the number 14 overall national seed, Tennessee Volunteers. They've got Miami of Ohio, Wake Forest, and Cincinnati. Likely Tennessee and Wake Forest in that final game, but again, that's why you play the game. Last but not least, the number 3 overall seed, Arkansas Razorbacks. They're number 3 seed. They're hosting their regional up there in Fayetteville. They've got the North Dakota State Bison, the Kansas State Jayhawks, and the Creighton Blue Jays. So got some bison and some birds. You got some land predators there, some animals with the Razorbacks and the Bison. And they've got 2 bird teams, the Kansas Jayhawks and the Creighton Blue Jays. That rounds out your NCAA baseball regionals coming up. Again, they get underway this Friday with the first game will be Louisville. Well, actually, the first game, I think there's a 12. No, it's all 2 p.m. 1 p.m. Noon. Okay, so your first game looks like it'll be Georgia versus Binghamton. That'll be 11 a.m. on the SEC network. And then you've got just a host of games coming up this Friday afternoon all over the place. Looking forward to checking those out. Hopefully your teams do well. And if you're making the trip over to Tallahassee for the Tallahassee Regional, make sure you bring lots of water and wear lots of sunblock. We had the opportunity to go to, I believe it was the Super Regional last year, and boy, was it hot. So make sure you bring your sunblock and drink lots of water over there in Tallahassee. Great ballpark to watch baseball as well. But, you're looking for something to do. This is just a read. But if you're looking for something to do this weekend coming up, post-Memorial Day weekend, the baseball championship gets underway on Friday. So support your teams, enjoy it, have fun. When we get back, it's time for that afternoon delight debrief. Don't forget Brad Law coming up at 12:20. We're going to discuss all thing Auburn, including the baseball regional being hosted and the men's national championship as they have made it to the match play rounds. You're listening to the Inside Drive afternoon delight debrief coming up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida, available on all your devices.
Connected.
Hear your favorite sports talk hosts.
The Coach James Hale Show. You're listening to the Inside Drive live. The afternoon underdog.
And your favorite teams.
Braves win!
We're live on the app. Tune in, Alexa, ESPNPC.com, Facebook, YouTube, and in your car at 101.9 and 104.3. Wherever you go, there we are. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna on ESPN Northwest Florida with your weather forecast on this Tuesday. Partly sunny this afternoon and evening with a moderate breeze at 13 miles per hour out of the south-southwest and temps near 86. Tonight we will have mostly clear skies and be warm at 78. Partly sunny and a likelihood of thunderstorms tomorrow, a high 86. Some clouds in the early morning, but otherwise likely thunderstorms Thursday with a temp of 84. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for tuning into ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hi, folks. It's Tracy from Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Did you know that we have a master jeweler right here in the store? That's right. She has over 20 years experience in the art of repairing jewelry. Most repairs are done within a week. So don't send your jewelry off for 6 weeks. Bring it to us at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. We size rings and solder chains. We can reset your diamond into a new setting and even custom design. You'll get your jewelry back quickly and looking as good as new. Tracy's Fine Jewelry, Bay County's trusted jeweler for over 50 years.
WGSX Lynn Haven, W Field 2 Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you looking for a place to take a leak? Do you have a truck, tractor, or other hydraulic equipment leaking or not performing as it should? At Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, we can get you back to work. Do you have a busted or leaking hose, hydraulic cylinder or pump needing repair? If competitive pricing and a quick turnaround are what matter to your business, come see us at Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, or you can give us a call at 850-326-3000. Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, 6840 Highway 77 in Southport, the best place in town to take a leak.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus Studios, it's the Inside Drive.
Sky rockets in flight.
And now, the afternoon delight debrief with the three degenerates from the Inside Drive.
Afternoon delight.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
And we are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City and Panama City Beach. 101.9 in Port St. Joe along that beautiful Forgotten Coast. The boats are out. The water is warm. Be safe out there. It is beautiful to get out there and do outdoor activities. And if you need your golf clubs tuned up or if you're looking for some new golf clubs, only one place to go. That is Golf Plus. They're retail, club repair, and club fitting. All those things you need to be successful on the golf course. Always says you can't buy a new game, but you know what? If you're a good archer and you get a better arrow, you're going to be a better archer. Same thing with golf. Anyway, just get fit. Even if you're not going to buy new stuff, get club fit. That's the big difference in consistently playing golf. And, of course, head over to Bay Point as well and hit up Jay Henley. Just got to go to golfwithjay.com. I know he's still got a few spots open in his glow-in-the-dark golf camps coming up this summer. I think actually coming up here pretty soon as we approach June very, very fast. But again, Golf Plus, located in the Edgewater Shopping Plaza, right there next to Firefly, or you can head up to the one in Dothan off of Montgomery Highway, a.k.a. 231. They've been there for over 36 years. I know them personally. Alan's an amazing guy, but all his staff are experts in what they do. And the beautiful thing is they're not commissioned on certain club repairs or club sales, so you're going to get the best opinion when you get on their machines and find out what your numbers are. Again, we appreciate Golf Plus being our studio sponsor. You can also download our free mobile app where we're giving away t-shirts all the time. That is 104.3 in the Google Play or Apple Store. You sign up, Download it. Boom, you got it there on your phone. If you're not able to listen to us, you can listen to us anywhere your phone has service. And you can also head over to ESPNPC.com. You can listen live there, but while you're there, you got to sign up for Scorpion TV if you haven't already. Only $45 a month with code ESPNNW. That's going to give you over 5,000 channels on demand, including all your sports, local news, regional news, local sports, regional sports, all the pay-per-view events. You don't want to spend $100 on a UFC fight? All you got to do is spend $45 a month with Scorpion TV. When you sign up for that, you've got it all right there at the palm of your hand, right there on your TV. And, of course, they've got over 10,000 movies on demand. All the new movies, all the great movies. Again, Scorpion TV. Right there at ESPNPC.com.
And by the way, when they go to ESPNPC.com, the links are there for Google Play and for the App Store, so they don't even have to search for it. Just click on the links and it'll take you right to it.
Fantastic. Making it easy. Making it easy.
Trying.
No excuses. No excuses.
No.
Play like a champion and sign up for Scorpion TV. I know we have tons of listeners who have signed up for it and are certainly enjoying all that stuff. All right. Real quick, we got not real quick, but we got about 17 minutes worth of Afternoon Delight debriefs coming at you. And I'm going to start with China's dystopian apartment block housing over 20,000 people. It's a 675-foot tall Chinese dystopian apartment complex that houses over 20,000 people. A building in China labeled dystopian apartment has recently gone viral on TikTok. This massive complex, capable of housing up to 30,000 residents, has stunned viewers. The video posted on TikTok by user Father is the One used a drone to capture the immense size of the building. The footage not only highlights its unique design, but also leaves viewers astonished at the sheer scale of the urban dwelling. Dystopian fiction often portrays societies gripped by fear or dehumanization, while usually a product of the imagination. These stories sometimes serve as warnings for what the future could hold. Now, in real life, China's Regent International apartment blocks seem to mirror aspects of these fictional worlds. And it is an immense building, accommodating up to 30,000 people with everything residents might need conveniently located within its walls. Known as the Regent International, the so-called dystopian apartment is situated in Guizhou Century City, in the heart of Hangzhou's central business district. Designed by Alicia Liu, the architect behind the Singapore Sands Hotel, the building opened its doors in 2013, standing 675 feet tall. It houses approximately 20,000 people across its 36 or 39 floors, depending on which part of the S-shaped structure you're in. Unsurprisingly, this makes it the most densely populated building on the planet. This kind of makes me think of the movie WALL-E. I don't know if you ever saw that, Randy. It's about the little robot.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're on this ship traveling around in space, and all the humans on the ship are in chairs just being moved to wherever they go, and they all get immensely overweight because they're not exercising or anything like that. And that kind of sounds a little bit like what could happen with the people in these buildings. Just kind of popped into my head while we were talking about that. But search it up. Check out the building. It's ridiculously massive, holding up to 20,000 people in one spot. I don't know how you get the plumbing situation figured out in a building with 20,000 people on it. It's a lot of folk. Pivoting to something different, Joey Chestnut breaks popcorn eating record on video, eats 42 servings in 8 minutes. How many servings is 42? Well, we're about to find out. Most professional athletes reach a certain age and start to decline, but Joey Chestnut is only getting better with age. The legendary professional eater broke his own popcorn eating record on Monday, downing 42 24-ounce servings in just 8 minutes. Chestnut previously set the record for popcorn eating at 28 and a half, but he broke that record in 2022 when he ate 32 servings. Now he's broken the record once again. He broke the record at the Chestnut X Rural King Popcorn Showdown in South Terre Haute, Indiana on Monday. Chestnut said the last time he broke the popcorn eating record, it almost cost him a tooth because of the kernels. He took a different approach this time around, and clearly it worked out. It's going to be a pretty intense world record attempt, Chestnut told On3's Brian Jones before the event. The record is pretty high, 32 servings in 8 minutes. I'm going to have to stay in rhythm and not let the kernels of the popcorn affect me. The last time I did it, I almost broke a tooth. So I think the little things they're doing, I am confident that they're going to be able to do a good job of not giving me any unpopped kernels. Chestnut's bread and butter is hot dogs, as he's won 16 Nathan's Hot Dogs eating contests. And I know he didn't compete last year due to he had like the Impossible Food sponsorship, and then Nathan's in Coney Island kind of pulled the plug on him there. But Chestnut's bread and butter is the hot dogs, but popcorn and other foods are no match for him, as he's claimed more than 55 world records in eating. Chestnut has long established himself of the GOAT of professional eating. At this point, he's just taken victory laps. I'll eat a little bit of popcorn and I'll get kernels stuck in my teeth or stuck in the roof of my mouth and all that stuff. But to eat 42 24-ounce servings, popcorn's really not that digestible either. So that's just what this guy puts his body through is just kind of unbelievable with everything he's got going on. But Joey Chestnut, just another world record there, another impressive world record, I should say. But yeah. This is an interesting story, and those who remember Payne Stewart, it was kind of a wild thing how his plane crashed. But here's kind of the details behind it. This is from the Weird and Interesting Things Facebook page. It's called The Final Flight of Payne Stewart, the ghost plane that flew itself. Payne Stewart was a golfing legend, known as much for the throwback attire as his championship swing. But on October 25th, 1999, just months after winning the U.S. Open, Stewart boarded a Learjet headed to Dallas and never made it. Shortly after takeoff, the plane lost contact. Air traffic controllers realized something was wrong. The plane had stopped responding but continued flying on autopilot for 4 hours.
Wow.
Over 1,400 miles before crashing in a field in South Dakota. Military jets scrambled to intercept. What they saw was chilling. The windows were frosted over and the crew was unresponsive. Everyone on board had likely died within minutes of takeoff due to cabin depressurization, but the plane kept flying. A ghost ship in the sky. Investigators later confirmed hypoxia, lack of oxygen, was the cause. But the surreal image stuck with the world. A silent jet floating across the heart of America, carrying souls long gone. A modern tragedy wrapped in silence and sky. I remember he had passed away, but I had no idea. The details and the fact the plane flied for 4 hours by itself and then eventually crashed in South Dakota. But
wow.
I mean, and, they would have just kind of, I don't know, crashing, it's instant, but also just lack of oxygen. You're slowly just going to pass out and then die. But he was an unbelievable golfer at the time. He just was dominating everything he was doing. And then obviously he won the famous U.S. Open in that duel against Phil Mickelson. And they got the statue of him pumping there at the end. And just a golfer certainly took too soon, and one that who knows what he would have went on to do. But just thought that was certainly interesting with the details of the actual what happened with that plane. Final Destination. You ever watched any of those movies, Randy?
I have not.
There's a new one out now, and a group of moviegoers in La Plata, Argentina, got more than they bargained for during a screening of Final Destination Bloodlines. In the chilling twist straight out of the franchise, part of the theater collapsed mid-movie, nearly killing one audience member and turning the horror flick into a real-life nightmare.
Oh, wow.
So Final Destination is about all these, I've never seen any of them, but I kind of understand what it's about. It's about these crazy ways people are dying and stuff like that, and then to have this happen, which is something that would happen in the movie during a screening of it, is certainly pretty chilling and pretty wild there as well. All right, I've got some, I'm all over the place today with the Afternoon Delight debrief. When we have a couple days, these stories come across and I just try to save them. This has to do with oil and gas may not be fossil fuels, but rather a renewable energy source created by geothermal reaction between the solid mantle and liquid core. Details, you should ask? We've been conditioned to believe that oil and gas come from ancient dinosaurs and dead plants compacted over millions of years. That's the textbook explanation, but it's not the whole story. The Earth is a static rock. It's dynamic. It's a living machine. At its core, literally, is a high-pressure, high-temperature reactor, the boundary between the Earth's solid mantle and the liquid outer core. Down there, deep beneath the crust where organic matter doesn't exist, carbon, hydrogen, and metallic catalysts interact in extreme environments. Through natural chemical process, think of them like industrial synthesis on a planetary scale. Hydrocarbons are created from the Earth's primordial materials. This isn't speculation. Laboratory experiments have replicated these conditions and shown that methane and other hydrocarbons form abiotically. I think I got it. We've also discovered hydrocarbons in places where organic matter have never been, like deep in the ocean crust and on other planets. You think Saturn's moon Titan has forests? No, it's literally raining methane there. Nature doesn't need biology to make hydrocarbons. The point? Oil doesn't come exclusively from fossils. It also comes deep from the Earth, where geothermal reactions are constantly producing it. That means oil isn't a finite dying resource. It's being renewed all the time, just very slowly and far below where we usually drill. And the article goes on. You can read more about it, but I thought that was pretty interesting stuff. As that's what they've always told you, and is that it's from the fossils. That's why they were called fossil fuels. But apparently, it's a renewable type of energy, which may pave the way for some better things, maybe some lower gas prices. But we seem to be moving in that direction anyway.
What, the lower gas prices?
Yes, slowly but surely. And we fluctuate here probably more than other places simply because we're a tourist destination. And all
You'd be surprised, though, because I'm 2 hours west quite often.
Yeah.
And the gas is always less expensive here in Bay County than it is there. I don't know if it's because of different taxes and that sort of thing, but
good to know.
But gas is always, much less. And you can look at as an example, you can compare prices at Sam's here compared to the price of Sam's there in Pensacola. So
I think there's it was gasbuddy.com or something like that.
Yeah.
That shows you where all the gas prices is and all that stuff. I think it's even an app at this point as well.
Probably.
But, there's pretty much an app for everything nowadays.
That's right.
Got a couple good, feel good story here. Cow caught in flood found alive on Australian beach 11 miles away. This is from May 23rd. A cow was found alive on an Australian beach after being carried up to 11 miles by floodwater. Layla Phillipson found the cow alive on the sand on Old Bar Beach on the mid-coast of New South Wales. The cow was one of multiple bovines swept away by the floodwaters brought by torrential rains in New South Wales. The bovine was believed to have originated from Taree, about 11 miles from the beach where he was located. Phillipson posted photos of the cow to the Taree Community Notice Board on Facebook, where they came to the attention of the animal's owner. The owner said the cow had been removed from the beach and is being treated by a veterinarian. So what was once a lost cow is now a found cow.
How about that?
How about that indeed?
By the way, the Gas Buddy will not give you any information unless you download the app.
There you go. That's how they get you to download the app.
That's right. You cannot check gas prices until you download the app.
Yeah, and then probably turn on your location as well.
That's right.
Another animal one here. Elephant seal wanders into residential neighborhood. That's not an animal you see here too often wandering into neighborhoods, especially not here in the North America, as this is from South America. South Africa. Wildlife rescuers in South Africa said a coordinated rescue plan is currently under action to return a wandering elephant seal to the ocean after the animal made a surprise appearance in a suburban Cape Town neighborhood. Residents posted photos and videos to social media when the elephant seal came wandering up to the middle of a road in Gordons Bay. A coordinated rescue plan is currently in action in Gordons Bay to help the sub-adult male elephant seal return safely to his ocean home. The Cape of Good Hope SPCA said on social media. Photos from the scene show the elephant elephant seal lounging next to the road and snuggling up to the hood on the hood of an SPCA vehicle. The situation is under control. We are now awaiting a wildlife vet to arrive and safely sedate the seal for transport, the officials wrote. Elephant seals, they got that huge trunk, and they're huge, and they can really hurt you with the power that they have.
I'm not sure what I want to run into, an elephant or a rhinoceros.
Ooh.
Because they're both extremely dangerous.
I feel like, they both run fast. But, rhinoceros, though, have a tendency to charge more, but so do elephants. But I don't know.
Especially if they're protecting their, babies.
If there's babies around with any animal, you need to be wary of that. But both can gore you as well. One's got the horns, the other one's got the tusks. Swimmer circumnavigates Martha's Vineyard for shark conservation. May 27th, an endurance swimmer spent 12 days swimming 59 miles around Martha's Vineyard, the filming location of the classic movie Jaws, to raise awareness for shark conservation. That almost seems like an oxymoron. You're swimming where the movie Jaws was filmed, but you're doing it for conservation. British South African swimmer Lewis Pugh became the first swimmer to circumnavigate the Massachusetts island when he completed his swim on Monday. I've been on one of the toughest swims of my life. Cold water, relentless wind, big waves, and the constant thought of what might be beneath me, Pugh wrote on social media. The swimmer chose Martha's Vineyard for his swim on the 50th anniversary of Jaws to push back against the common perception of sharks as an undersea monster. I feel like you're kind of pushing fate there a little bit, swimming around in Martha's Vineyard on the 50th anniversary of the movie. I believe in jinxing things, and it certainly looks like it, but sounds like he got out there fine. For the past 50 years, it's been all about fear and the danger of sharks. What I want to do is try to change the narrative for a new generation and say sharks actually bring life. They sustain life. They make oceans healthier, Pugh told PBS News. Pugh said Jaws and the films that followed in its wake contributed to the negative perception of the animals. They portrayed sharks in a way that they are villains. They're out there to get humans, and we know that they are nothing of the sort. And so this is an opportunity to try to tell a new narrative for a new generation, he said. And Randy, you had just shared a picture with me earlier of the girl that got attacked by the shark.
Yeah, that was like in Destin.
Yeah. And now she's thriving.
Yeah, she's doing really well.
Which is kind of part of the story. Don't let things like that define you. You can certainly come back from them, and she seems to be doing really well.
Anytime there's a shark attack anywhere along this area, I mean, it becomes national news.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that just goes to show you how infrequently they happen because one event makes national news. Yep. But yeah, it's their habitat.
Yeah.
We're going in it.
That's right.
So, all right, one more. We got about a minute left. Record-breaking team unites in Idaho to pass baseball. A pair of serial Guinness World Record breakers reunited in Idaho to capture the title for the most behind-the-back baseball catches in 1 minute. They literally have records for anything and everything. David Rush, who holds the most concurrent we've talked about David multiple times, who holds the most concurrent Guinness World Record titles, reunited with former neighbor Jonathan Hollywood Hannon in Boise, Idaho. The two men had been neighbors and record-breaking partners for several years before Hannon moved to Michigan. We were neighbors and co-conspirators in over 30 world record titles. From speed challenges to coordination stunts, we've always pushed each other to the edge of what's possible, and then a little further, Rush wrote online. The pair took time during their reunion to take on a title for most behind-the-back baseball catches in 1 minute, which stood at 30. We didn't jump right into it. I took a few warm-ups, a couple of mistimed tosses, and a solid rhythm to get back in sync. But once we were locked in, the chemistry was undeniable, just like old times, Rush said. The men successfully took the record with 39 catches in 1 minute. Rush said the record also gave the pair another distinction. And just another world record that we talk about here on the Inside Drive. We got to go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, we'll be joined by Brad Ball, the Director of Broadcast Operations for the Auburn Sports Network.
The ride home just got more dangerous. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida is your spot for the afternoon underdogs.
One of the more underrated, fast as lightning. You know that he's got perseverance.
Weekdays 4 to 6 live from the CBC Construction Studio. Reactions, rants, and your calls at 850-215-6290. The afternoon underdogs are live and local. Weekdays on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with ESPN Northwest Florida with your Tuesday's weather. The rest of the day, there will be a moderate breeze out of the south-southwest, some sun, and 86. Mostly clear skies tonight, about the same at 78. Tomorrow, partly sunny and a light breeze right around 6 miles per hour with a high of 86. About the same at 84 Thursday, and we'll have thunderstorms and very light rain. This forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
CBC Construction is looking for a few good men. At CBC Construction, our greatest strength lies within our talented team. Join us and be a part of a dynamic company that values its people. We offer a tremendous opportunity to create a future for your family and the Florida Panhandle. CBC Construction is now hiring. Call us at 850-740-3815 or visit cbcconstruction.com to learn more. CBC Construction. Be part of a winning team.
Want to experience the ultimate car wash? At Tommy's Express, you'll love our open and bright tunnels, easy loading, flat belt conveyor, unlimited membership, and free vacuums and mat washers. Try us for free. Text WASH 415 to 86697 to send our best wash, The Works, directly to your phone. You'll love the sudsy clean, ceramic wax, underbody flush, spot-free rinse, and tire gloss. Experience the difference and visit Tommy's Express today. Offer valid to new guests only. By participating, you consent to receive promotional and information text from Tommy's Express. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies.
Now back to the Inside Drive, live and local from the Gulf Plus Studios. The locals love it.
You're gonna love this. You are my favorite. It's my favorite.
Everybody's favorite. The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey, live on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. It's Tuesday. It's 12:20. It's got to be toasty but beautiful up there on the plains. They got a lot of sports in action right now, and we're only 87 days away from football season. But who's counting? Well, we got our good friend on the line. He's the Director of Broadcast Operations for the Auburn Sports Network. Brad, how the heck are you today?
Brian, we're doing well. Hope everybody down on the coast is as well today. We do have a lot going on.
We are doing fantastic, although summer is clearly here because these streets are full and the sun is hot. But, hey, that's what we like here in Florida. We get some snow in January, but then we get our normal hot temps here in the summer. But, yeah, lots going on right now with Auburn. Maybe not all the sports that everybody likes to pay attention to, but if you're diehard Auburn, you know what's going on. We're going to talk a little bit about it today. We'll start with the Auburn softball season coming to an end shortly after we talked a couple weeks ago. They did end up forcing a fifth and final game after winning Game 4 8-3, but ultimately lost that final game 4-0 to Florida State University, and Florida State ended up going on to their super regional and losing 2-0 in that one. So great season for Auburn softball. I was just reading earlier. Looks like they've signed some big time players. Looks like they signed Alyssa Hastings, who played at Lipscomb University for the last couple of years. She's a utility player, and then Ella Harrison, who was a pitcher for Rutgers the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I'm not as well versed on those two individually, but I think the Lipscomb transfer was a conference either freshman of the year or defensive player of the year or won a conference accolade of some sort. So that's a really solid addition. And then pitching, the girl from Rutgers is a pitcher. That's the number one thing I think they're going to focus on in the off season. There were some things to get excited about the way this softball team played over the last month of the regular season, winning 3 or 4 series to close the regular season. Beating Florida State in a game in a regional. They'd never done that in their program. And so, if this was the 7th or 8th year of a particular coaching regime, that wouldn't necessarily get you fired up. But to do that in year 1 of the Chris and Kate Malveaux era here, and to see some of the notable, again, I love objective data, to see some of the undeniable proof of improvement on offense, that lets you know when they get the pitching where they want it, this team can be back up there in the hunt for conference titles and regional hosts and moving on a little further in the postseason.
Yeah, no doubt. And obviously playing in the SEC is no easy task, and it always seems like they have to go through Florida State at some point in the postseason to keep moving on. Flipping over there to the baseball side of things, pretty wild. Auburn ended up being the number 4 national seed and hosting a regional up there starting Friday. They've got Central Connecticut University, who is 31-15, Stetson University, who's typically got a good ball club every year, at 40-20, and then NC State, the Wolfpack, at 33-19. Who do you think the toughest opponent is in this regional for the Tigers?
Auburn. I think Auburn. No, I think that certainly Auburn has to be more concerned with executing and playing its game than it does a particular scouting report. I think that NC State is a tough opponent. They're a hardened team that I think beat Clemson on the road. That's a regional host. They did that earlier this year. So, that 2 seed should be your toughest game in the regional. I think the biggest question for Auburn is how do they set up their pitching between Samuel Dutton and Cam Tilley. Do you pitch Dutton, who's been your Friday night guy, your lead pitcher? Do you throw him against the 4 seed, or do you throw him against the 2 seed? That's going to be the big question, I think, that's left for Butch Thompson and the rest of this staff as we head toward Friday, because you don't take any opponent for granted. Auburn found out 2 years ago when Penn came in as the 4 seed and shut them down. You just don't do that. You don't take a team for granted, and so I'll be curious to see how they set up their pitching for this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, not the performance they wanted in the conference championship for the SEC, losing their first game to Texas A&M 3-2, which was a tough loss, but still ended up getting the number 4 seed nationally. So a highly successful season for the Tigers, and kind of flipped the script from last year. What are some of the things that kind of led to this season being such a great season for the Tigers?
Yeah, Ryan, I think it's a good question. We knew coming in that Auburn had a top 10 recruiting class nationally. This is a top 10 freshman class. The question was going to be how many of them would make it to school versus the draft. Well, they all made it to school. Every one of them. We didn't see Connor Gatwood pitch this year, but the rest of the guys in the class played. 3 of them became everyday position players, and Christian Chatterton is a weekend starter. Plus Andreas Alvarez, who's been a really critical midweek starter for Auburn. So that's 5 of the freshman class that were incredible contributors to this season, all right? That's 1. On top of that, you had a top 10 portal class. And Lucas Steele, who has hit the cover off the ball the last 2 months of the season, transferring from Samford. And Eric Snow, who's red hot going into the postseason, transferring from South Florida. And Bristol Carter, who's been a platoon player, starter in the outfield, transfer from East Carolina. And some other guys, Ryan Hetzler, who transferred in from Cal Baptist, who's become the closer, and Cade Fisher, who transferred from Florida, and Sam Dutton, who transferred from LSU. So you have a top 10 portal class, and they've all hit in some form or fashion, plus a top 10 recruiting class that many of them hit in some form or fashion. Combine that with a player of the year type of guy in Ike Irish coming back, and that's a pretty solid recipe to have a successful season.
So pretty much basketball, football, baseball, it's all your mix of how good can you still recruit out of high school, but also how good can you pick up people out of the transfer portal. And it just seems like the name of the game, and just much more challenging for these coaches day in and day out. Much like football, most universities have somebody focused on the transfer portal and the NIL and all that stuff. Does the baseball program have somebody just like that?
Not really, and that's a very interesting question, because you're right. You have more player personnel, and in football, you have of course, football staffs are huge now. They're their own communities. They have their own buildings and their own zip codes, and their own mailing routes and stuff like that. But with football, you have a director of high school scouting, director of transfer portal scouting, a director of player personnel, and just a lot of different positions. You do not have that as much in baseball. It's Butch Thompson, Gabe Gross, Carl Nonamaker, Everett Tieford, Scott Foxhall. That's pretty much it. Those are the guys, and they're handling high school relationships and portal guys. So that's how they get it done.
Yeah, no doubt, making that job even tougher, and not just what's going on out on the field. Auburn, obviously, like I mentioned, the number 4 national seed. If they win, they would obviously be hosting a super regional. When was the last time? And I'm kind of ignorant to this, so I was just curious when the last time they hosted a super regional up there in on the Plains.
It has never happened.
Oh, glad I asked the question. Never happened.
I saw that. Listen, y'all, for those of you who don't know, Ryan is so prepared. He's got his questions. He's got his topics. He sent me kind of an outline today of what we're going to talk about, and I saw that topic on there. I saw the question, how many times, and I was hoping you would ask it that way so that I can answer it that way. Never.
Wow.
Never has happened. So, this is something that – now, look, you got to take care of business, and Auburn respects every opponent on the schedule. So there's plenty of work to be done before,
no doubt.
You talk about a madhouse on the Plains.
Yep.
If they host a super, that it'll be an incredible time.
Man, what an opportunity for all the students in the Auburn City and all the stuff going on, not only to be in a regional, but let's hope they can somehow find a way to get out of that regional so that can come to fruition, because what an amazing weekend that would be for everybody involved in the University of Auburn. Speaking of other sports that are doing fantastic, last time we talked, the boys golf, or the men's golf team, was leading their NCAA regional, which was hosted up there at the Auburn University Club, which they ended up going on to win handedly. I think there was only one other team maybe under par, and Auburn absolutely dominated. And that's kind of the benefit when you host a regional at your home course. That is so difficult. I say that about Florida State Seminole Legacy all the time. It is a brute of a golf course, and typically when Florida State either hosts a tournament there or hosts a regional there, they end up dominating that, because you play it week in, day in, day out. You're on that golf course, and that gives you such an advantage. But now they're in the national championship, and they're currently second in stroke play, or they finished second in stroke play, made that first cut of 15 handedly, and then ended up being second in stroke play, trying to win back-to-back national championships. I was going to ask you, I know Auburn finished at 12 under par behind Arizona State, who finished 14 under par, and then the Florida Gators, a lot of Florida fans here in our area as well, were finished third. So Arizona State will take on Ole Miss, Auburn will take on Virginia, Florida will take on Texas, and then a wild Oklahoma State matchup as well with the 4 and 5 seeds. But, just great to see Auburn right back in there in the national championship, trying to defend the national championship, trying to go back-to-back. And if I remember correctly, last year was their first golf national championship. Is that correct?
It was, yes.
Okay.
It was their first golf. Yes, it was. Yeah.
So they won their first one last year. Obviously, this would be their first time ever going back-to-back if they can do it, but it's such a grind to make it all the way there. Talk about how great of a job that Coach Kleinert has done with the Auburn program, especially in the last, 5-6 years.
He's done an incredible job, and I will tell you, though, that for them to repeat, it's going to take a minor miracle, because they started this morning, and they're trailing in more holes than they're leading, and it's getting late against Virginia. So for them they're going to need some doors open by some of those Virginia golfers. But I will say this about Nick Kleinert, regardless of how they finish today or in this tournament. I've said in other places before that the closest thing we have in the SEC to Nick Saban, now that the Alabama football coach has retired, is Nick Kleinert. In his approach to recruiting, his relentless reliance on discipline, his attitude, the way he coaches players, the standard that has been set in the program, and I say that with tremendous respect to the former Alabama football coach. Closest thing we have to Nick Saban in the SEC is Auburn men's golf coach Nick Kleinert.
Absolutely, and obviously the proof is in the pudding. I did not see the match play, because when I got all this stuff going before, it just pulled to the stroke play, and I see where it pulled to the match play. Yeah, no, it's going to take a full-on miracle. Of course, Jackson Koivu took care of business 3-2 against his opponent. Not surprising there, but Carson Baca lost his 2-1, and Brandon Valdez, a little surprising there, lost to Paul Chang 5-3, and then Josiah Gilbert's going to have to go on a huge run here. Oh, nope, it just officially ended. He lost that 15th hole to go down round 4, which is 4-3 because there's only 3 holes left. So I'm pretty sure that's going to seal it for the Auburn Tigers. They're live while we were looking at it. Yeah, 1 up for Caden Pope. He won his. They probably just called that, I'm guessing. No, that one was finished up. That was the first match out. Okay. Sorry, I'm just kind of reading this live on the air. But kudos to Virginia, who's moving on. But, and I talk about this all the time because we talk about college golf a good bit. We have coaches on and stuff all the time. The national, not only is the regional a grind, but the national championship is probably one of the toughest grinds in college athletics because you've got to play 6, 7 straight. I think forget how many holes it is, but they got to play 2 matches today after they just played 4 rounds of stroke play. And if they advance through today, then they play in the national championship match tomorrow. So I think college, all sports are tough to make it to the final, whatever it is, match, game, series, whatever. But golf is just such a brutal grind to make it all the way to that final match.
It is, yes. You got to play 4 rounds of stroke play and be in the top 8. You got to get to the top 15 after 3 days, top 8 after 4. And they Auburn, it's a tremendous test of endurance. Auburn hit a bad patch on the back 9 yesterday. And just a really rough time to hit a bad patch because that carried over into today. Several of them were behind on the front 9 and could not recover on the back. So, tremendous. I mean, again, this program's not going anywhere. Jackson Coyvin's already got his tour card, but he's announced that he's coming back for his junior year.
Good for him.
Which is huge. And, again, to kind of speak to being coached by Nick Kleinert and being a part of this program. So this program's not going to go anywhere. They'll be right there in the thick of it again and next year for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. That's pretty impressive there by Jackson that you've already got your tour card, and I guess with that whole PGA Tour, you can kind of defer it to when you want to turn pro. I just know you need to turn pro, I think, before you start the next season if you wanted to declare being a official pro. But impressive stuff there from the Tigers. Brad, any recent football news? As here we are 87 days away from week 0 and the start of the 25-26 college football season.
No, this is sort of a slow period right now. It's all about recruiting and setting up official visits and things of that nature. This is the time as we approach June and July where those official visits, Big Cat Weekend, and things of that nature kind of come into form. So you'll see recruiting news over the next 2 months, but not a whole lot on the actual team front until we get, I guess, midway through July and start getting to SEC Media Days.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you said a couple weeks ago when we had you on, Jackson Arnold's most likely going to be the QB1 for the Tigers.
Oh yeah, he's QB1. That's not a question. That is not a battle that will go on. It is unquestionably his position, and that's how it'll be going into the year.
No doubt. And hopefully, and Hugh Freeze that's his guy because. The kind of the talk over the last several years is Hugh Freeze didn't really have his quote-unquote quarterback. And does he feel like Jackson Arnold is this guy that can really be part of his system and what he wants to do? Because obviously the previous quarterback, Peyton Thorne, came from Michigan State, was already there when Hugh Freeze came in. So it just always felt like there was a little bit of, they weren't, I don't hate to use not on the same page, but sometimes it felt like that. Not all the time, of course.
Yeah. Well, it's, I think he came in with Coach Freeze, but it's a little different. I mean, Jackson Arnold was higher rated coming out of high school, and everybody kind of looks if you look objectively at his situation last year at Oklahoma and look at the Auburn roster. If you just look at a roster construction standpoint, his offensive line at Auburn is better objectively. His wide receiver core at Auburn is better objectively. And the fact that he was playing for a defensive-minded head coach and is now playing for an offensive-minded head coach, that approach is different.
No doubt.
He's played in the RPO offense. I mean, there are a ton of reasons that aren't twist my arm, try to fit it into a spin zone. For why you should expect Jackson Arnold to look more like the 5-star guy that he was, that everybody evaluated him as coming out of high school.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're certainly looking forward to it, and I'll certainly be looking forward to talking to you in the fall as, like I said, 87 days away from week 0. Brad, we appreciate your time jumping on with us. Looking forward to talking to you next time.
You got it, Ryan. Thanks very much. And War Eagle to the Auburn fans on the coast.
War Eagle. You guys listen to the Inside Drive. That was Brad Law. He's the Director of Broadcast Operations for the Auburn Sports Network. We'll be right back with our final segment of this Tuesday.
Keep the game going with ESPN Northwest Florida. Just because you get out of the car doesn't mean the Sports Talk and Live play-by-play have to end. Just say, hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida. From Michigan Avenue to the Man Cave, from the car to the kitchen, we've got you covered. Keep the game going. Hey, Alexa, open ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Memorial Day mattress sale continues here at the Sleep Center. Stop by the Sleep Center and you can save up to $500 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets. Tempur-Pedic, made in the USA and available at
Sleep Center, where it's bedtime all day long.
Visit the newly remodeled Mid-South Lumber Hardware and Feed Store in Youngstown. They have a full line of plumbing, electrical, hardware, and tools for your DIY home projects, as well as lumber and animal feed. Now offering not only baby chicks and a full line of poultry supplies, but also bunnies and parakeets. They also carry a wide selection of Duplin wines and gourmet products so you don't have to drive to the beach. Come see us at Mid-South Lumber on Highway 231 in Youngstown.
Is your restaurant looking a little tired from the long off season? Is your office a little offish? Start the new year off right by giving them a fresh start. Fresh Start Cleaning is now accepting new clients. Ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services. Fresh Start Cleaning. Get clean again with Fresh Start. Call 850-771-6917, 771-6917, and ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services.
The Memorial Day mattress sale continues here at the Sleep Center. Stop by the Sleep Center and you can save up to $500 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattress sets. Tempur-Pedic, made in the USA and available at
Sleep Center, where it's bedtime all day long.
Broadcasting from the Gulf Plus Studios, it's the Inside Drive.
Are you ready?
Celebrating 2 years of broadcasting history.
I love it.
It's the Best of Day awarded Inside Drive on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Weekdays 11 to 1 with Ryan Mulvey.
Beckett was on roids.
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You listen to the Inside Drive, final segment of this Tuesday afternoon. We are excited. You got the Atlanta Braves coming up tonight. I believe that's a 5:45 first pitch. Don't quote me on that. Yes, 5:45 first pitch right there against the Philadelphia Phillies, making the trip up there to the NL East foe, as Philadelphia is currently leading the division at 34-19. Atlanta Braves 25-27, but Ronnie Acuna is back, and he made his presence felt in that last series against the Padres, as you all probably already know and have seen, because it was all over social media. His first pitch of his first at-bat returning to the Atlanta Braves, he hit out of the park. Truist Park went absolutely bonkers. Just a wonderful moment, obviously bringing some serious excitement back to the Atlanta Braves, who certainly need it. Hopefully Spencer Strider will be returning soon as well. But in that same game, he showed off his arm as well, throwing out somebody running to second base. Just a cannon of an arm. And then he homered in his second straight game when the Braves beat the Padres 7-1. But then unfortunately the Padres won again 5-3. But again, coming up tonight right here on ESPN Northwest Florida, make sure you download the free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store so you can listen to those Atlanta Braves if you're not in your car, if you're not in front of Facebook. Easiest way to do it, 104.3 in the Google Play or Apple Play Store so you can listen to Braves baseball. Again, we appreciate Bill Berg Kia, PCB Hobby, Panama City Toyota, Hewitt Tire and Auto, and Hometown Towing, in addition to Best Way Portable Buildings, Reliable Hydraulic Solutions, Mid-South Lumber, and Brock Pest Control for bringing those Atlanta Braves right here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Kind of finishing up real quick for you Florida Gator fans out there and seeing what's going on in the match play in the golf. Currently, you are tied with the Texas Longhorns with only one match or two matches in the books. Through 14. 3 matches in the books, 2 won by Texas, 1 won by Florida, with two matches still out there on the golf course. You've got Matthew Kress from Florida. He's 2 up through 14, so in a good spot there to make it 2-2. And then the final match, which is likely what it's going to come down to, between Christian Moss from Texas and Ian Gilligan from Florida. They are tied through 14, so likely to be 2-2, with that rubber match being the one that will make the difference whether they move on to the semifinals. But Florida's been there in recent years as well. For all you Gator fans out there, they've had a great golf team. They won the national championship not last year, but the year before last year, back in the 23-24, or really the 24 season, because the fall season in golf doesn't count towards the regionals and all that stuff. It's kind of like, I don't want to say exhibition, but it's pretty much like that. Oklahoma State currently leading 4 out of the 5 matches against rival Oklahoma, likely to win that one. And Arizona State currently leading 3 out of the 5 matches for Ole Miss. They call it the race to 5, just like in beach volleyball. First team to get race to 3. First team to get 3 points on the board wins and moves on to the next match. Semifinals will be this afternoon, probably on the Golf Channel if I had to guess, followed by the national championship match tomorrow. Match play golf is just so much fun. Love to see it, and when your teams are in it, it's kind of exciting as well. Speaking of PGA Tour golf, Ben Griffin won the tournament last week, but we got a big one coming up this week, another signature event. That is the Memorial Tournament. That's up there at Jack's Place, one of the harder golf courses out there on the PGA Tour docket. So on check. We'll be, obviously, Keith and I will be on the 2 Off the Tee podcast tonight, 8 p.m. here in the Central Time Zone. So if you want to check that out, just search up fantasysixpack.net. We'll post it after the fact as well. And, of course, tomorrow is Wednesday, so Keith will be on the line with us from 12 to 12:40 tomorrow, going over the course, going over your betting picks, going over your DFS picks. And if you want to win some money, I highly suggest you follow him on Twitter/X. That's at Keith Fleming, KeithFleming. Him and I will be doing the 2 Off the Tee podcast tonight, again, 8 p.m. You can watch it live or you can watch it after the fact, just like all of our 3 great local shows here on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 in Panama City Beach. Coach James Hale Show, 7 to 9. Of course, the Inside Drive right here from 11 to 1. And the afternoon Underdogs from 4 to 6 p.m., although today it'll be from 4 to about 6:43 p.m. as we'll be bouncing right to that Atlanta Braves coverage. Yeah, looking forward to the Memorial Tournament. That's one of my favorite non-major tournaments as well. Lots of action coming up this week. We also got the NHL Conference Championship has been going on, and the Carolina Hurricanes ended a very, very long losing streak that goes back all the way to 2006. Prior to that, I had forgot about this until I started reading about it. Carolina avoided elimination in 4 straight sweeps in this Eastern Conference Finals by white-knuckling past the defending champion Panthers 3-0 on the road down in Sunrise, Florida yesterday. Despite the margin, 98% of winning this game was nerve-wracking. Carolina's last 2 goals were both empty netters. 1-0 all the way towards the end of the game. Do they have a chance to win the series? Probably not. Last night wasn't really dominating like the Panthers' wins had been over the Hurricanes, but the last 15 conference final playoff games going back to 2006 they had dropped. So they're 1-15 in their last conference final game. So congratulations to the Hurricanes, who maybe extended the series for a little bit longer. I think it's Florida still to win, but good to see them get that monkey off the back. Florida's just so strong, great team, very powerful, and they're defending champions, and they're pretty much the same team as they had last year. Hurricanes bounced out Freddie Anderson and forget the backup goalies, who's now the starting goalie, and had his shutout. So sometimes a goalie change, despite how good that goalie is, may make a big difference in that. French Open is already gotten underway for those who care about tennis, which is always fun. I'm kind of like the golf side of things, where a lot of people just watch the 4 majors. I'll watch the tennis majors as they kind of get through the round of 16 and beyond. Always fun to kind of dive into those and watch those. Caitlin Clark, the WNBA sensation, is going to be out 2 weeks when it comes to, I believe it's a quad injury. They announced Monday that Stargard is dealing with a left quad strain, which if you've ever had a quad strain, you know how painful that can be, following their loss to the New York Liberty on Saturday, 90-88. The reigning WNBA Rookie of the Year will be sidelined for at least 2 weeks At a minimum, Clark will miss a pair of games against the Washington Mystics, along with matchups against the Connecticut Sun and the Chicago Sky. A 2-week timeline would put her back on the court January 10th when Indiana hits the road to play the Atlanta Dream. Subsequent evaluations may dictate a longer recovery period. Quad strains are like a hamstring. They're tricky. You never know. And if you've ever strained your quad before, you know how you can't really do what you used to be doing. My question, though, is obviously Caitlin Clark has been kind of pushing the needle with the attendance. With her being out, do you think we will see a drop-off in the attendance to these games? What do you think, Randy? You think? I
think so.
Yeah. And I would imagine people probably maybe already bought tickets to a lot of these games. Are they still going to go and support their teams? Or is it solely, I don't want to say solely, but is it primarily driven by Caitlin Clark's, attendance or playing in these games, which is just, I know the Atlanta game not too long ago, they had to switch to the State Farm Arena because where they were playing, it wasn't big enough to sell all the tickets they wanted to sell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll affect it. The good news is the season tickets are already accounted for and paid for and all that.
Yeah. I just know some of these numbers have been pushed up, like that first game when they played Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese's team. The prices on some of those were crazy. So I guess we'll find out if Caitlin Clark is in fact the one that moves the needle, at least on the attendance side of things. But she will be out for at least 2 weeks, barring any setbacks with that quad strain. I had a little fun.
She plays like her hair's on fire.
She does.
I mean, every time she's in the game, which is often, I mean, she just goes 100 miles an hour.
Yep, no doubt. Obviously huge for the WNBA, in addition to the rivalries and all that good stuff. But little fun fact on a pitching thing that happened this past weekend. Pitchers in MLB history with a 9-inning complete game shutout and 13-plus strikeouts in under 100 pitches. That was Tariq Skubal. That was, I believe this was on Sunday. He's the only person to ever do that in Major League Baseball. He just threw the best Maddox in baseball history. 9-inning complete game shutout, 13 Ks in under 100 pitches. Only pitcher in Major League Baseball to ever do that.
Speaking of Major League Baseball and the Atlanta Braves and Greg Maddux, he just became one of the partners in the Atlanta Braves organization.
Nice. Yes. That's pretty cool. I mean, not giving back, but staying involved with the team that brought you. Obviously, he brought it himself too.
Yeah.
But
that's one thing about the Braves. I mean, they have all these guys, even people that leave the team. I mean, they still are fan favorites, and the one is the Freddie Freeman.
Yep.
Here he is playing for the Dodgers, but when the Dodgers come to town, it's hard to get a ticket to the Braves game.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see here. We got about 4 minutes left. Randy, what do you think?
I'll go for it.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. We're getting underway here. I gotta pick my stuff for tonight. Shoot, I forgot. That's what we always end the show with, is picking for the games coming up tonight. And soon we will not have games coming up in the evening unless we're talking about baseball, which we'll dive into a lot more. All right, Indiana Pacers, New York Knicks. Doc A said to take the Pacers -2.5 at home, although the road teams have been dominating in this one as they've won all 3 games thus far. New York Knicks, I don't think they can go down 3-1 in this series. So I would probably take I'm going to stay away from taking the points, because why would you? It's only 2.5 and it's -110 if you bet it. You can get the Knicks on Hard Rock at +115. And then I kind of like what Doc was saying earlier too about going the over on, let me pull that back up again, the over on Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton, because Tyrese Halliburton's has moved up to 21.5. So apparently several people were moving on that to over. Probably still take the over in that one, because him and Jalen Brunson at 29.5, I think he's scored over 30 in all 3 games thus far in that conference championship. But that just seems like, I don't want to say low, because every time I say one that really stands out, looks like it's going to be one that should hit, it usually goes the other way. But I do like Jalen Brunson over 29.5, Tyrese Halliburton over 21.5. Bet him solo, put them together. I'm going to put all these together with taking the over and the Pacers straight up. So if we do that, The over is 221. It's gone down a half point. You get 8-1 odds on that. So that's Jalen Brunson, 29.5. Tyrese Halliburton, over 21.5. The Knicks to win, and over 221 as your total points. Whenever I add that fourth leg in there, that's the one that always falls and doesn't end up cashing. But, I feel good about this one. I'm going to go ahead and 8-1 is pretty solid. And don't forget about the bonus bets out there. The bonus bet today, if you won one over the weekend, it got up to $460,000. So if you got one of them, it was, I think, $68 bonus bet. I figured out, don't just bet one, bet both, and $1 on each, and you're going to give yourself an opportunity. The two bonus bets tonight: New York Knicks at the Pacers, each team to score 102 or fewer, or each team to score 119 or more. I've just learned to put $1 on each of them, so if one of them happens, you're going to hit and get that free bonus bet, and that happened over the weekend, and they got a $68 bonus bet. Again, I'm not going to tell you which one I think is more likely. Just go ahead and put $1 on both of them, and easy peasy. But I do like that one. I need to leave that in there because I'll probably do that one later. And then on the other side, on the ice, you've got the Dallas Stars and the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton snuck one out this weekend. I think it was 3-0 in that game. It was a little more than that. I think the Stars, I thought they were going to come back again because that's kind of been the MO so far in this series. But Edmonton looking to even up the Western Conference Finals on the ice, currently up, or the Dallas Stars currently looking to tie it up as Edmonton leads 2-1. Tonight, as always, the over-under is a little bit higher, but the spread is always the same. The Oilers are -1.5, which gets you +140, over-under 6.5. I think this game tonight is going to be a little more wide open game. Each team starting to settle in a little bit more. I could see, I feel like the Stars are going to win tonight, even though it's in Edmonton. Kind of the same thing with the Eastern Conference in basketball, is you've got the away team doing so well. Take the Stars straight up and take the over, as I think the Stars are going to win this one 5-4. You guys have been listening to The Inside Drive. We'll be back tomorrow with Keith Fleming. Don't forget, Atlanta Braves coming up tonight, 5:45. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Celebrating 2 years of broadcasting history.
Told you this would work.
It's the Best of Bay awarded Inside Drive on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Weekdays 11 to 1 with Ryan Mulvey.
I love it.
Covering the biggest stories, breaking news, the latest